What's going on, everybody out there in the internet world? Welcome to the show. Sorry about the delay today. We are still trying to figure out a bunch of technical stuff, and hopefully we sound better, look better. Well, the picture looks better, But yeah, so we're still trying to figure out a bunch of stuff, man. And we appreciate you guys hanging in there and standing by with us. And we got some cool stuff to talk about today. So let's jump right into it, man. No more beating around the bush. We're going to get right into it.
So I got some tattoo removal done yesterday. We went up to the Skindustry Tattoo Convention, the Lehigh Valley. Good show. Lots of great artists. Lots of local guys. I hooked up with these guys called Removery, and they did a little removal for me. I had some stuff that had some blown out lines, and they said they could take care of it. And probably my best experience so far. I've had tattoo removal done a couple times. Twice was more of like a guerrilla removal sort of thing. Once in a hotel room at a tattoo convention, which I do not suggest. And once when a buddy of mine sent to China and bought his own laser.
Yeah, not suggested.
That's not suggested. Dude had his whole neck done. This was like, I don't know. This was probably 20 years ago. And he wanted to get it removed. And so he went down to a place in Philly, and I think they said $8,000.
Wow.
So he sent to China for like a laser. Cost him like, I think, $3,000. And with no training at all, he just started like... He just started trying to do it himself.
Again, for anybody out there, not suggested.
Not suggested at all. Not suggested at all. But, that was sort of the spirit of the thing back then.
Yeah, but you know what? Huge shout out to Removery. They were giving out free sessions yesterday at the expo. And, we got to meet the one guy that was working it. We had a business card, and I don't remember what we did with it. But it was them. It was him and two females that were working yesterday, and they were freaking amazing to hang out with, talk to. They were also saying that, so it's Dustin Ortel is the guy that we talked to yesterday. Shout out to these Removery people. They were actually giving away free sessions yesterday, and then they also said that for tattoo artists, they will do removal for free. So this way, you basically throw them some clients their way that need a cover up or whatever, and it's a one hand washes the other type of thing. So
one of the weird things that I'd never experienced before was that they were using a system of cold air, like not a normal numbing agent like a topical, but they actually had a hose that blew, and I mean cold air. That kind of, I think, they blew the air after the laser hit, and it really I've had it done, and it was pain. When I first had it done, it was painful. One time I had it done, it staggered me. You know what I mean? I had removed down on the back of my head, and it was bad. But yesterday, it wasn't that bad at all.
So quick shout out to anybody in chat hanging out, man. I just said what's up in chat, but if you're out there, make sure you say hello. Tell us you're out there, that you're out there kicking, and we're gonna keep talking about the Skindustry Expo from yesterday. Pretty cool, man. It was pretty well attended. There were definitely a lot of good artists there. It reminded me of an old school feel to it.
Yeah, definitely.
Like not
style-wise.
Not like the newer, bigger conventions. It was more of the, more laid back. It was more artists than vendors.
Absolutely.
Smaller, but it just had a cool vibe, man. And there were some really cool people there. So we got to talk to a couple, artists that we know or recognized, from just being out and about. And we're going to talk about that today too. So we have some artists that we're going to do.
Just real quick, like as a tattooer, I do a lot of cover up work because when I understand like. When I was a kid, and I'd go into a tattoo shop and they'd give me a price, and I'd think, I don't make that in a day's pay. So, but a lot of times with cover ups, the tattoos that I'm covering up are like dark
Mm.
in the wrong places. Like people will come in to get names covered up, and it's just bold, huge letters. And the reason that tattoo removal is useful, right, is that for a fully dark cover up, only black covers black, right? Red doesn't cover black, purple doesn't cover black. It might cover black, it might cover it for a minute, but sooner or later it's going to heal through.
Mm.
That's just a fact. And if you get a couple removal sessions done on a super dark tattoo, it just really increases the amount of color that you can put into it.
Yeah.
Suddenly, it's possible to put like lighter blues, lighter greens, maybe even some yellows.
So they did say that, that most of the time, if you do one, possibly two sessions, you could actually get the sessions done and then, be able to cover over no problem at all.
Absolutely.
So it's not like you got to go through the whole removal process of, 3 or 4, whatever sessions it takes. I don't know. I'm not really up on my remove stuff, but super cool people to talk to. So just wanted to give them a shout out. So that's a removery, and they're located in a bunch of different places throughout the tri-state area. So I wish I would have got your names and been able to give you a shout out, but maybe next time. So a couple more things that we want to get out of the way before we jump into some subjects. And again, if anybody's out there and wants to ask some questions, please, ask away. We're actually going to ask you guys some questions today to change it up a little bit as well. But another quick shout out to the Tattoo Museum of the Jersey Shore. It's being run by Tattoo Tony at Under My Skin Tattoos. He is putting together a pretty cool little museum at his shop with, legendary tattoo artists from New Jersey. So it's pretty cool to see. It's getting put together, and I can't wait to see what it looks like when it's done. But it looks like a pretty cool thing. And the next thing I want to give a shout out to is the National Tattoo Preservation Society, which was nice enough to put us on their webpage as being, doing tattoo history videos. And I got to be honest with you, I'm not going to pat myself on the back, but I had some old school guys that were saying that I was going about it the right way, which was, it was cool, man. It was nice to have some, not necessarily recognition, but to be verified or
Absolutely.
of what I'm doing is the right thing. And, look, if I don't know, I'm going to say I don't know, and I'm not going to give you a gray area. So that was pretty cool.
There was a lot of talk yesterday at the convention between us about the reluctance of people in tattooing to be like, well, this is what I heard, or this is my best idea. But in the end, I'm not sure. I wasn't there, didn't see it.
Right.
And and how you have to remember that, Shane brought up a pretty good point that when a lot of these old guys died, their families wanted nothing to do with them, and so their shit went to the dump.
Yeah.
And so what we have is stories. We have stories told by guys that are just naturally going to sort of put themselves in the center of the story. It's not necessarily that anybody's telling a lie, but they're just talking from their own perspective.
I mean, you got to remember, man, pre, let's say 1980, nobody was really keeping track of tattoo artists and writing stuff down and documenting things. And, the 80s came, and some of these guys said, okay, I think we need to start documenting some of this stuff and really try to see what's going on here. And so, there's going to be a lot of word of mouth, a lot of he said, she said kind of stories. And, sometimes the facts aren't always there. And, with me, when I'm doing my history stuff, I try to at least get 3 points of reference to verify my stuff before I say, hey, man, this is what I understand to be. Because then this way, if I got 3 points of reference, I know at least I'm in the ballpark for the most part. Anyway, I mean, I'm not going to end all to be all. Never said I was, never will be. So just putting that out there.
And then there's something like, when Sailor Jerry passed away, and not to speak ill of anybody, but something went on with Shanghai Kate Hildebrand and Mike Malone, Rollo and Shanghai Kate. And through the years, depending on who you heard the story from, or more importantly, whose friend they were, because Mike, like Rolo's friends told it one way, and Kate's friends told it another way, and I'm sure that the truth was somewhere in between there. But you just got to keep that in mind
Yeah.
when you're hearing stories about how different stuff happened.
But it was really cool, man, to visit some people we knew, and there were some legendary people there,
Ronnie was there. Ronnie Del Aqua.
right? And Crookie Ken,
Crooked Ken was there. Yep.
Shane Enholm.
Yep.
So there were some really cool people there, and we're gonna get into some of that. But I think that last week we left off with the whole bridging the gap thing, and we actually talked about it yesterday with a couple people that gave us some pretty good input about the subject.
So Ken told a pretty interesting story. Ken has black anchor tattoo, and he's got a place in New Jersey, Montclair, and a real super respected tattooer, good guy. So somebody comes into his shop and says, "I want that design." Talking to one of the kids that works for him, and the kid says, "Well, that's Ken's design. He painted that. Like he painted that."
Right.
Well, I don't want Ken to do it. I want you to do it. And we were talking about how, and he wasn't offended by that at all because that's sort of the way of things. It's like a young industry, and nobody wants to be tattooed by the old dude, right? You want to be tattooed by the young guys.
Yeah, the hot new artist.
Yeah.
The hot guy that's got the social media presence. And somebody had actually said that yesterday. I wasn't even going to bring this up, but somebody had said a point of, tattooers not focusing on the tattoo for the customer. It's more of them focusing it on the photo op of getting the tattoo. And I don't know if that's necessarily true or not. I'm sure there are people out there that are out, trying to do that or whatever, but I don't think that's as widespread as it seems to be. I mean, we all know social media, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or whatever the hell it's called now, X, and what countless other freaking social media things out there. Look, we all know that there's people out there that are trying to make themselves look good, altering pictures, doing whatever they got to do. But you know what? At the end of the day, man, I'm not paying their bills. I'm not the one that's out there, paying for car insurance and their kids and food and whatever else. If they got to hustle to get clientele in the door, then so be it. The only time I see that being a problem is if you're actually doctoring pictures or whatever and you're making it like, way better than what the actual tattoos are. Then that's a problem, right? Because then it's like false advertisement.
Yeah. So there was a guy on Instagram called Tattooed Truth Fairy, and he pointed out a bunch of stuff. And one of the things that he showed was that Digital Photography Magazine actually did a cover story about how to improve your tattoo pics.
Yeah.
Right? Not like with better lighting or with better, but actually how to change them.
Oh, how to doctor them.
How to doctor them. Yeah, and that's fucking nowhere.
I mean, look, you want to have the best pictures you could possibly take for your work because you want it to be represented properly. So you don't want shitty lighting and shadows and all kinds of shit.
But you don't want to go in afterward in the paint shop and smooth out tones and darken and lighten all the stuff you can do.
So when that was brought up, I mean, we were in the middle of having a conversation about the bridging the gap and stuff like that. And, unfortunately, it was an older guy that's been around a long time. And he just was like, I don't think that they're really going to be able to bridge the gap. It's going to be them pushing us out the door until they can. I don't believe that. I mean, that's me personally. I think that there is starting to be a resurgence in people wanting some history, wanting to understand the culture, really where it came from, and not just about me posting on. Dude, it doesn't matter what industry you're in. You're always going to have those types of people.
So here's a question we were talking about yesterday on the way out to the convention. So, would you rather get a competent, solid tattoo from a guy that you liked or a woman that you liked personable, you got along with, had a better overall experience, or would you rather get an extraordinary tattoo from a milk dud that didn't speak to you, that didn't, still respectful, not disrespectful, not a dick, but just not really interested either?
Like wants to have zero conversation.
Right, just wants to, are you okay? Sit down, does the work. Like what, is it in the body of the question was, is it the experience that's more important or the end product that's more important?
So for everybody that's out there right now in chat, why don't you shoot us an answer real quick. Would you rather have the most elaborate tattoo, crazy tattoo with somebody that has zero personality, respectful still, but zero personality, doesn't want to talk, doesn't want to conversate? Or would you rather have a competent tattoo with somebody that is, personable, fun to have, conversation with, tells a good story, So in chat, while you're out there, let us know. Give us an answer. We'll keep going, but I want to see what answers that we get from this. So,
and I'm not talking about the guy, because there are times tattooing where you do have to concentrate. Like you have to really concentrate. You have to really kind of shut everything else out and do a particularly difficult area. I'm not talking about guys that are doing that and, talking and then not talking. I mean, just milk duds. Guys that couldn't give a fuck one way or the other. They'll treat you with respect for you because you're a customer, but, in the end.
All right, so Paul just said definitely choice B as Buck just described it.
Choice B.
Yeah.
Personable.
Yeah, so he's saying he would rather have personable.
I'd rather have personable.
Nikki, I would rather have a competent tattoo from somebody she meshes with.
Nice.
So there you go. I mean, I think that, the rock star thing is not going to cut it for some people. Some people are not going to give a shit. All they want is the most banging tattoo they've ever seen, and they don't care if they're both wearing earplugs and jamming out to their own separate music and whatever. So,
see, I got a guy got tattooed by, and to be honest with you, his lettering wasn't the best. You know what I mean? Good tattooer, but just like a fucking great guy, man.
Right.
Hilarious. Like the stories were good. It's this guy definitely had that carnival barker quality of, come on in, kid, come on into the store, come on in and be part of the gang, get tattooed, be cool, come on in. Really had that charisma. And so, I'm to the point now where I got a lot of imperfect tattoos because I'm pretty tattooed, and
I do not.
I may have a few imperfect tattoos, and I would rather just collect experience. It sounds pretentious, collect experiences, but
No, but all right. So we got another answer. Jesse just said rather have a decent person. So there you go. I mean, it seems kind of right now. We got, people that are saying it would more important to have a good, rapport with somebody. Me personally, I mean, I've had both. I've had, experiences where I got tattooed by somebody, and it was a lot of sessions that it was getting done by. And I thought initially the first session or so that the conversation was pretty good. And then as the session started to go, it dwindled. All right, Gary, and I'm not going to say that out loud, so we'll move on.
What?
Just because I don't want to offend them, and I'm actually planning on having them on the show. So.
Oh.
But I've had both experiences, and you look, man. I think when the initial question was posed, it was almost posed like, "You're okay with having this janky ass tattoo, as long as the experience was cool." I am not okay with that.
No, I don't.
Wait. But then when you turned it into competent tattoo, then I went, okay, I'm cool with that. Like, I don't need the, most flashiest freaking tattoo on the planet because, first of all, if I'm walking into a tattoo shop, I already know what I want, or at least what an idea of what I want. That has already been planned out in my head. So at that point, I would expect anybody else to walk into a shop already going, okay, well, I know what I'm looking for. And at that point, I would assume that you would know somebody's personality when you go to do their deposit. The dude acts like if the artist, I keep saying dude, but it could be female as well, is a total tool bag as soon as I walk in the door, pretty sure I'm going to walk out the door anyway. It's not even going to get to that point.
I don't like feeling like I'm bothering the tattooer.
Yeah, man, like
I appreciate you're watching YouTube videos or you're watching your cartoons. I dig it, you know? But at least look up and pretend that you're semi-interested in what.
Okay, so wait, you know, man, that might be a good segue. Is that something where is that a old school mentality versus new school mentality?
The you're bothering me stuff?
Yeah, like the whole see, so because here's how I look at it, man. Back in the day, when you were dealing with the dirty bikers that were edgy and had a little bit of grit to them, they weren't necessarily the most friendly fucking dudes.
Right.
And then at some point that kind of, you know, so that's ebbed and flowed as well because there's stories of Burt Grimm back in the day. He would stop in the middle of a goddamn tattoo and be like, all right, it's Burt Grimm story time or whatever. And he would get up and start talking about stories about him tattooing people or working in the goddamn carnival. So at some point it was like that. And then it went to where it was like the guys that were like, what do you want? Pick something off the wall. Let's go. Fucking sit down. And then it turned into people being cool and, you know, just having good conversation. And then now it seems like we're back on the upswing of, I'm a rock star, don't bother me.
See,
And I don't know if that's the case or not, but I'm just saying.
I think it's something that tattooers go through. Like, there's definitely a phase. There's definitely a phase that I went through where I really felt sort of superior to my customers in a sense because I understood tattooing, I understood how to tattoo, I understood tattoo culture.
Mm.
And your tribal band just wasn't it for me. You know what I mean? And it took me a long time to realize, an older tattooer to point out to me, that to the guy getting the tribal band, we used to call him the Goldberg, right? What I'm talking about is back in the 90s when Goldberg had the big tribal band. Mm-hmm. The meatheads would come in and get the Goldberg, right? And a guy pointed out to me that to the dude getting that tribal band, that's just as genuine to him as me getting the big Japanese tattoo or the big American Eagle tattoo. And so that needs to be respected. And a lot of tattooers now are like, you know, if you don't go, it seems like if you don't go with their ideas, they're just like, well, it's not really worth it, you know?
Dude, how many people in the 90s were getting cartoon tattoos that I'm sure tattoo artists were like, dude, if I do another goddamn...
Another Taz.
You had to say it, didn't you? Bastard. That's why I covered it up. Because of people
Taz.
like you. Yes, I had one at one time that got covered up. But I think you know, it's true. And just like, you know, when I interviewed Baba's talking about the tramp stamp thing. He was like, dude, tattoo artists didn't call it a tramp stamp. It was the jealous chicks that were calling it tramp stamps because as far as they were concerned, that was a cash cow. That was a money-making machine. Why would we call it a tramp stamp and disrespect somebody?
And bad news for the ladies these days. The underwire tattoo, you know what they're going to be calling that in 10 years, right? Because that's just how things go. That's going to be the next tramp stamp.
I mean, look, is that just a catty chick thing? Like, I don't see guys ever doing that.
Calling them tramp stamps?
No. Like, I don't see guys picking out tattoos and being like, you know, giving it some derogatory term.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I know guys bust balls about getting the Taz tattoo, dick.
Look, I got tribal work.
Hey, you know what, man?
I got tribal work.
I actually, so I brought that up before, and I couldn't remember the lady's name, but I want to I got remind me to do that because I want to ask the guys or the people in the audience another question. So the people out there that are watching, do you have a particular tattoo artist that you go to and you will not go anywhere else? So let us know in chat. So do you have one guy or a girl that you go to and that's it? You won't go to anybody else. And while we're waiting for people to answer that, I want to go back to, so to tie into the Taz thing, I actually talked to Tim Azinger from Pinnacle Tattoo yesterday from Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about some of the tattoo artists from Western PA, which is where I grew up. And I said to him that, like where I grew up, there really wasn't a lot of tattoo artists. You had to either go into Pittsburgh, Kittanning, or like State College / Williamsport area. So I actually went to Williamsport and got a tattoo from this lady named Raven Coe. Or Cove, not sure. Tim wasn't sure either. But he remembered her, and he was the first tattoo artist that I ran into that actually remembered her. And he said, dude, to be honest with you, she was a little nutty. And she's gone now. Apparently she passed away, so rest in peace. Sorry to hear that. She thought she was like a witch. So she was a little kooky. And
Or was she?
But she was a very good artist. And from what he was telling me yesterday, and I didn't know this, man, and I I was young and dumb. It was my first tattoo, so I didn't know a lot. But apparently from what he was saying was like she hung out with some of the legends back in the day. And she had a lot of pieces done by them. As far back as like Burt Grimm and stuff like that. So I was like, wow, how cool is that? And it sucks that she died, man. I wish I would have, remembered her or started this, process sooner. She's been gone for a couple years, but.
So the last time I went to the Philadelphia Villain Arts Convention, there was 900 tattoo booths there. Well, there were 900 booths. So let's say there were 850 tattoo booths. Right?
Okay.
Now, in 1980, I don't know if there were 850 tattooers in the United States. Or maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of tattoo artists now compared to back then.
1970? Were there 800 tattooers in the United States?
No, I doubt it.
No way.
So
of course she had work from...
Yeah. I'm just saying, like he said, she was fairly well known. And it was cool to find somebody that actually knew who she was. So that was awesome for me because that was my first tattoo, man. So we got our first question, or first answer from the audience participation. And Jesse just said, if I like the person, I'll get a few from them, but not strictly loyal to anyone. So I'm kind of the same way, man. Like I have probably 3, maybe 4 people that I go to. But I'm always looking for other artists. It's just like when I find somebody that I like and I have a good rapport with, and I've been, the whole conversation, it kind of goes with it, right? That's kind of who I'm going to. And if they're doing competent or better work, then why not?
So I was getting tattooed by Mike Swagger, and he for a long time it was Mike and Robert Ryan and Tommy Yak. And one night I went in there and Mike was busy and I was going to get tattooed by Ryan. And I sort of did the thing. I took Mike aside and I was like, "Hey man, if it's cool or whatever, And Mike was one of the first guys to say to me, "Absolutely. Yeah. Ryan's a friend of mine. I'm glad he's going to tattoo you." Like, he's like, we're not about that jealousy. You can only be my customer. You can't be anybody else's customer.
Right.
At all. And like, as a tattooer, I'm like that too. Unless you go and get a piece of shit tattoo.
Yeah, like then you're like, why did you go to that person? You could have came to me.
Like, if you're my guy, but then you go and you get something on the cheap that just turns out to be a fucking mess. Like, really, man?
Yeah.
But if you go to a tattooer I respect or a good tattooer, yeah.
So we got another reply from Nikki. She said, I have a guy I like because of his style. He's done 2 of mine, but I've seen other tattoo artists I would go to that she loves their work. So no loyalty. Which is, again, man, I don't think that's, I don't even want to question it as being a loyalty thing. I think it's just, you kind of go, it's like you go with who you know.
Right. Plus, I mean, and there are definitely little. How do you want to say it? There's little groups of tattooers that are sort of associated with each other, and their styles are associated with each other. So, like when I first started going to Mike, I had a tattoo from a guy named Scott Harrison,
Mm-hmm.
and Mike recognized it. And he was like, "Oh, that's Scott's work," and he knew him.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know.
No, man. I mean, I got people that walk up to me and know who did like one of my tattoos that I have immediately. As soon as they walk up, oh man, that's and I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, right on, cool. Um, cool, man. I like it. I like having some audience participation, man. That makes me feel like there's people out there watching and paying attention. Um, so I don't know if I want to necessarily get into any more of this, bridging the gap stuff because I don't want to keep pounding everybody over the head. I think we'll just do a little bit each week and just kind of move on with some cool stories and shit. But I do want to get into. So we said we were going to do this last week, and I want to. So we got another reply. Harakari Art. Yes, I have my personal tattoo artist. I'll never go to anybody else. At home, my daughter, and my husband. Well, there you go. Well, if your husband's your artist, props. That's freaking awesome.
We actually ran into that yesterday.
Dude.
Yeah,
And they won.
they
They
did.
won the tattoo color of the day.
That was incredible.
Sean Duffy is his name, and I don't know the name of the shop, but they're
Tattoos out of Dublin, right?
Dublin, PA.
Yeah.
They won the tattoo artist of the day or color picture of the day. So speaking of, we said we were going to do this, and each week we're going to pull 5 or so artists that we find throughout the week and shine a little light on them. And unfortunately, my laptop is not good enough to flash it on the screen to be all flashy and shit for you guys, which I wish we could. But one of these days when I get enough money together for a new laptop. So the first one I want to bring up is Swirl, Small World Tattoo out of Orwigsburg, PA. They are a couple of traditional guys that have been around for quite some time, putting out some cool traditional work out of a tiny little shop up there. Wanted to shine some light on them and give them props. Their channel is actually Small World Tattoo, all one word, on Instagram. The next one that I want to shine a little light on, and the dude really doesn't need a light shined on him. He's been tattooing for 30 years, but to be honest with you, I feel like he doesn't get a lot of, limelight, so he's worthy of bringing up, and it's George Morales at First Class Tattoo, and it's First Class, all one word, TAT2, the number 2, First Class Tattoo. He does everything. He does a lot of traditional work, but he's got a good mix of everything. Next one I'm going to bring up is Tim Azinger from Pittsburgh. I just talked about him. He's at Pinnacle Tattoo. Really good traditional work, really good color work. He actually won a couple color first prizes yesterday at the convention. Awesome dude to talk to. My man was rocking a Tool shirt, so I got to give him props for that because, I'm a huge Tool fan.
Yeah.
And his Instagram is Tattoo Tim, all one word. The next artist, and then do you have a couple?
I do have a couple.
All right, cool. Excuse me, I don't mean to cough in the mic. The next one that I want to give props to and shout out is it's called Art of Lord Grimm. It's art.of.lord.grim, Grim. He is from down in North Carolina. The dude has freaking amazing work, man. He's one of them new school guys that, like, you see his stuff and you're like, hell yeah. Got to give him props, man. And I tell you what, he always gives me props on his page. When he posts, he always tags tattoos and review. So awesome. I actually been trying to hook up with him to do an interview, man. He's one of those guys that I wish I could hook up with. Jesse just said, George at first class did my throat and a handful of others. Good dude. Yeah, man. From what I understand, I've talked to him. I'm going to try having him on the show. But dude's been around a long time, man. He knows his shit. So go ahead, brother. What do you got?
So I got a topper from Philadelphia, Fishtown, Homestead Tattoo, staple of Philadelphia tattooing.
Yeah, man.
Paints paints traditional tattoo flash and does traditional flash work, and really captures it perfectly, like perfectly. And that's at Homestead Tattoo, East Coast Charlie, at Philadelphia Eddie's at 4th Street. Another guy's been tattooing forever and ever in Philadelphia. Super approachable, street shop guy, painter. His work is like super clean, and he's he's available to tattoo.
Yeah, he's a walk-in guy.
He's a walking guy. Crooked Ken from Black Anchor. Spent some time talking to him yesterday. Just sat down with him and
Awesome to talk to, man.
yeah, just started talking about motorcycles and started talking about tattooing. And Ken again is a Coleman style tattooer. Solid lines, heavy shading, heavy black work. Excellent guy. And Bill Waverly. Waverly runs Waverly Color Corp. And I actually bought some of his ink that I'm going to try out because it seems like
They're pigment, right?
yeah, they're pigmented ink, so it seems like it's a little harder to get a genuine traditional tattoos have a color quality
Mhm.
that I don't know if you can match exactly with the new colors.
Okay.
I think that chemically they're altered, they're a little bit differently. Maybe some of the other tattooers in the chat want to chime in on that. I mean, you can get good colors in traditional tattoo work, but I'm also wondering if maybe switching to like a pigmented ink would, make it a little more authentic. So I'm definitely going to try that out. Bill Waverly Tattoo.
Yeah, you know what? He was cool as hell to talk to.
Yeah.
Very super nice guy. So he had a nice setup yesterday at the expo, and he was nice enough to sit and talk with us for a couple of minutes. So, we're gonna try to do this every week. So I just kind of flip through and find different tattoo artists that I see and stuff like that, or I actually have a band that I wanted to bring up, and you know what? It's so it's not tattoos, but it's a band that I thought it would be cool to bring up as well, man. Give them a quick shout out. They're a new up and coming band. They're from St. Louis, Missouri, and they're actually their name is Feel, Feel. And somebody actually commented and said that it sounds like the Black Crowes and Led Zeppelin had a baby.
Nice.
So, man, growing up listening to Zeppelin as a kid, man, it's nice to hear some new stuff that's got that feel to it, that vibe. So, Feel on Instagram.
And one of the things I was able to pick up yesterday at the convention was these books from Ronnie Dell'Acqua, which are his flash, but also other artists drawing his flash. It's all super authentic, super traditional stuff. They were really reasonably priced. They're like $30 each. Excellent. If you want to get like a good taste of East Coast traditional tattooing.
And you know what, man?
And I mean, I think Buck sat down with Ronnie, and I don't know. I think that I think it was a
good 30 minutes.
It was a good 30 minutes.
45 minutes. Dude, what can I say, man?
You know how when you go to a tattoo convention with a guy and he's just sitting there talking to some dude, and you can't really go away because you don't want to lose him, But then on the other hand, like, I'm not saying that that's Buck. I'm just saying 30 minutes.
Dude, he was, man, a guy like that.
Absolutely.
A legend.
Absolutely.
Straight up legend, man. I don't care but shit what anybody thinks, says, whatever. Not that I've ever heard anybody talk bad about him.
No, never.
But if a dude like that is going to give me the time of day to talk, and actually show interest in talking to me about my show and me doing the history videos that I'm doing, absolutely, dude. I almost didn't want to walk away from him. Like, he was just as, courteous and more than willing to sit and talk. I actually felt bad because I said, "Yo, Ronnie, man, let me let you go, man, because I don't want any, you're here to tattoo or whatever." He was like, hell with that. Let's, he just wanted to keep talking about the history of it, man. And to me, dude, I'm so engrossed in the history stuff right now that, like, I was sitting there like a sponge, dude, just soaking it all up, man. And to be honest with you, I wish I would have had, a conversation with him before I did the Coney Island episode, because I posted some pictures on my Instagram of me and Ronnie together, and he had actually the steeplechase Coney Island shirt on yesterday. Yeah. Awesome, dude. And it was just really cool to sit down and talk to him. So while we're still rolling here, just to real quick, man, if anybody in chat wants to ask any questions to, a tattoo artist or me as a creator, feel free to ask in chat. We'll try to get to it, talk about it, whatever. I mean, not try to get to it. Obviously, we're not blowing up here, so it is what it is. But if you have something you want to ask, you want to throw at us, man, feel free. Let it rip. We're here to answer questions as well. So,
the thing with the Coney Island episode really is like I mean, Eddie's passed away.
Yeah.
Stan passed away. Brooklyn Blackie, have no idea where he is.
I'm pretty sure he's passed away.
So
Coney Island Freddie.
Coney Island Freddie.
He passed away.
So, you got Ronnie and his Lou Rubino. I mean,
I think he passed away as well. His son is still running their supply thing, but Lou has passed away.
Right. So the guys that actually lived it, the guys that could actually tell what
Jack Dracula.
Yeah.
He died.
He passed away
a couple years ago, right?
We were talking to a guy yesterday a lot about Bob Roberts, and Bob Roberts was like a ground. How do you say it? A foundational stone of Los Angeles tattooing for the past 30, 40 years. And now that's a voice that we lost. Tuttle. It's a voice that we lost.
Tuttle did enough interviews though that. If you really wanted to dig hard enough, you would find some stuff.
Yeah.
There are guys out there, though, that
say that Tuttle exaggerated.
I don't want to get into that. I was going to say, I was going the route of there are other guys out there that were, bigger name guys that unfortunately didn't have a lot of interviews done with them, or, don't have them on tape, man. Like Tennessee Dave, Rick Walters. Rick Walters had one or two that were out there, but. Man, I'm sure a lot of those guys had a lot to say, man, and it would have been cool to hear some of those stories or hear some of those conversations, dude.
I think there was a lot of suspicion.
Are you going back to suspicion with what?
That the street media. The street media was going to cast your. We're talking about the 70s, the 80s. Before I cannot even begin to describe the impact of the Ink Master shows and the Miami Ink shows, the reality stuff, and how much that changed the face of tattooing. Because 20 years prior to that, tattooers were reluctant to talk to journalists because they didn't know what light they were going to be shown in. You might have a guy in your shop being super, super what do you call it? Super polite and courteous, and then he writes an article about.
Yeah, and then just backstabs you.
Right.
So, the thing that I've heard about the whole Ink Masters thing, and I'm not going to sit here and bash them or whatever, but from what I understand anyway, from some of the older guys that were asked to participate on the first couple seasons or whatever, they were down to do it because they were like, man, right on, dude, this is going to be a cool... show our skill on national TV or whatever, and we're gonna, it's gonna bring it to, shine the light a little bit. But the minute that they were told that there were gonna be created controversy is when those guys were like, nope, not doing it, dude. I don't want to have no drama, none of that shit. Don't want to get involved. So that's where I got to kind of look at the whole thing with the TV shows, man, is that they're going to create controversies and storylines that maybe aren't even there just to beef up their views and their,
Right, because they're a TV show.
Right, because look, let's face it, man, there's been some freaking amazing tattoo artists that have come out of those shows. Mm-hmm. There's also been some mediocre tattoo artists that have come out of those shows.
One of the funniest things I ever saw, I'm not sure what show it was, but it was the show where they voted you off the island. The artists, the tattooers voted you off the island at the end of the show. So I'm pretty sure it wasn't Ink Master. But they had to do this challenge, and the one dude, he was a tattooer from LA, they had to do a challenge of like how, with being in a garden or something. Like making tattoo art out of flowers and shit like this or something. I forget what it was. So the dude drew a picture of like a stick figure with like sweat beads coming off of it, saying, "I'm fucking hot," right? And that night they go to and the judges just like really were like,
bash him.
Yeah, because I mean he had just such a shitty attitude. And that night he goes to the other guys. He's like, "Just fucking vote me off. Just want to go back to LA. I want to work in my shop. This isn't worth it. This is crazy. This has nothing to do with tattooing." And you got to respect the gangster.
I mean, look, dude, I'm not going to fault anybody. You know, man, look, if it's going to give you an edge on somebody or bring up more business for you, then fucking hey, all means, go at it, dude. I just, you know, man, I think that sometimes it creates a little attitude that isn't necessarily warranted. So that, you know what, actually that's going to bring up a good point. That I don't remember if I brought this up last week or not, but I saw somebody that was posting on Instagram or Threads, one of the two, where it was a tattoo artist, and she had made a comment about, if you're not a tattoo artist, shut up, don't even talk about it. You have no business talking about it. And one of the guys replied back and said, so you're telling me you've been getting tattooed for 25 years or whatever it was, covered in tattoos from head to toe, have a full Yakuza bodysuit. I got no say, no input.
Right.
What I have to say doesn't mean shit. So what about you guys out there in the audience? How do you feel about that? Especially anybody out there that's a tattoo artist.
About that most rare of creature, the heavily tattooed non-tattoo artist.
I don't know if I'm necessarily asking for myself, but
I mean,
I was like, I felt like that was like, ooh.
It is a rarity. Like, there still are heavily tattooed people that don't tattoo.
And here's what I have to say to that. Okay, I guess I wouldn't go to you. You know what I'm saying?
What, the woman with the shit attitude?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
that sounds like a personal problem.
I'm a firm believer of, I don't really fucking care what you think. It's just how I live my life. So if that were really what it came down to, and if you're gonna have that attitude, okay.
Like,
and I know I probably shouldn't have just said that, because then it's gonna turn into a fucking shit show. But really, man, I mean, like, I kind of saw where the guy was coming from. He was like, dude, I've been, I'm covered. What, you mean I don't have any say?
So who?
Hold on, before I lose my train of thought.
Before he loses it, folks.
Because it will just poof. It's different if somebody like me is telling you how to tattoo. I got no business doing that. That's a completely different thing.
But telling you about tattooing? Yeah.
Different story.
Who owns the tattoo? Like, who does the tattoo belong to, ultimately?
The person wearing it. Bottom line. Somebody actually made that point on the whole controversy with Kat Von D that I did. And I don't know why I didn't think about it, but man, as soon as he said it, I was like, as soon as that ink is on that person's skin, that tattoo now belongs to the guy that's wearing it. Not the artist that did the original picture, not Kat Von D that did the tattoo, the person wearing it. And I went, wow. It's one of those things where I was like, man, I wish I would have heard that before I did the episode. But, hey, look.
I would say it's like a shared custody sort of thing. Like the guy wearing the tattoo, he's got primary physical custody. I'm the tattooer. I get visitation twice a month.
Yeah, okay. I mean, dude, but that's part of the whole, kind of goes back to what we were saying earlier, dude. Like, if you have somebody to use all the time, you're going to see that guy in a month or two, 6 months down the line, a year down the line when you go get another tattoo, and the artist pulls you over to the side and goes, "Oh man, let me see it. How did it heal? What's it look like?" Same thing you're kind of just saying, right?
And that's the thing about being a tattoo artist is that
you want to see what it looks like,
and we're super vulnerable. No matter how good the tattoo is done, no matter how well, like in the end, I am powerless over what people do when they walk out that door. They can cover it with mayonnaise and never wash it. Who knows what the fuck they're going to do.
Well, that's a disgusting thought, but I mean, dude, it's.
I worked in a kitchen when I was a kid, right? And there was this dude that I worked with. He was like, I don't know what he was, another dishwasher. And he had a fresh tattoo, and he goes, "Hey, you got any ink? Or you got any ointment?" I'm like, "No, dude, I don't got any ointment. I haven't been tattooed for a minute." He's like, all right." So he reaches over and he gets a little mayonnaise. I shit you not. He gets a little mayonnaise, rubs it. That's fine. That's fine. We're not suggesting that you do this. I'm just saying that that's something that happened.
Yeah, tell me that wasn't infected. Come on, man. Dude, but so wait, to go back to what you were just saying, what about the assholes that post online that are like, "Oh man, I got a tattoo from this guy and look how it's all infected and da 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 da." Well, wait a minute, dude. What did you do when you left? Did you rub dirt in it? Did you go wrestle? You never covered it up? You went working in the sewer plant? You went swimming?
Yeah, so
I mean, like, you guys don't have any control over that.
So I worked at the shore, right? I worked in Seaside as a kid.
The dude working at the sewer plant, that was a horrible thought. I don't know where that came from, but go ahead.
So back in the day in Seaside, you would rent from Friday to Thursday, right?
Mm-hmm.
So guys would come in on the weekends to get tattooed, busy shore shop. And we're like, we have to tell them, like, listen, you got to stay out of the sun and you can't go swimming. And without question, they'd be like, "Nah, dude, I'm not going to go swimming and I'm going to keep this out of the sun." Right? And you're like, "No, you're not." And then sure enough, they come in on Wednesday. "What's wrong with my tattoo?" "Well, you just spent 5 days in the ocean, in the sun. What do you mean what's wrong with your tattoo?"
That's like me, man. Like, I like, I'm real picky about what time of year I get tattooed.
Yep.
Just because I don't want it to be like, not necessarily swimming because I don't swim that much, but like riding season, dude. I don't want to get a tattoo done on, well, I'm kind of done on the arms, but before I would be like, "Oh man, I don't want to get it done, during riding season," because then it, sun and all that shit on a fresh tattoo, no bueno.
Life hack: get tattooed between January and March.
Well, there you go.
Life hack. Trust me.
Yeah, man. I mean, dude, you're talking, winter months and do what you got to do, but they're horrible, overworked. How it looks like healed. I don't hurry and art not fit together. Yeah, so Ohm is saying the same thing we are. You know what I mean? He's basically saying, don't rush it. Do what you got to do. Do it the right way.
Mm-hmm. A weird thing about healing tattoos, this was pointed out to me years ago too. Tattooers are given medical advice, right? How to heal the tattoo. And to be honest with you, as many people as I know, I've got friends of mine that wash them with soap, keep them clean, don't do anything else. I got friends of mine that use the Sanoderm stuff, friends of mine that swear by antibiotic ointment. Friends of mine that only use moisturizer. Like,
Yeah, man, I'm different than you are.
right.
Because I'm a firm believer of Aquaphor for the first 3 days, and then I do a Vino no scent afterwards for until it heals. So you're a bacitracin.
2 days bacitracin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everybody's got their own different reasons, but
I got a buddy of mine, Johnny G, man. Johnny G, no matter what he does, gets quarter thick scabs on his tattoo work. Doesn't matter who tattoos him, and as long as he just keeps him clean and leaves him alone, they heal fine. That's just how his body heals.
I've actually heard tattoo artists say it's healthy to dry heal. No, nothing. I don't know if I agree with that, but okay. So Jesse just had a good question, and it's directed towards you because this is not a me question. When it comes to designing and painting Flash, does it always have to be striving for originality, or is it cool to pay homage to tried and true designs?
Absolutely tried and true designs. As long as I don't claim them as my own. So I usually put designed by, inked by. I mean, I do some original stuff, but yeah.
But he's saying, does it always have to be striving for originality? So, is it cool to do your own Flash that's maybe tweaked a little different or whatever?
Absolutely. And I think it's, so like I really have been digging on the picture machine Flash lately. And so I'll do sheets of picture machine Flash, adding my own shading style and my own colors, but I'll always, picture machine, inked by Justin.
Right on.
It really is it's a long discussion in tattooing in general. Like the rose, or the eagle, or the sparrow, right? I mean, these are timeless designs. Versus do they how much are they? Do they still have worth? Do they still like?
I think I think we should do that next week.
Yes.
We talked about that where there's people now that are taking stuff out of their collections because they just haven't aged well.
Well, yeah.
We won't get into that today because that's going to be a longer discussion. So we don't have as much time today, but we're going to write that down and bring that up for next week. I think that would be an awesome discussion. But
does Jesse?
So Jesse asked about the Flash, and then Ohm just said second skin works for them for 2 days, and then tattoo aftercare for 2 weeks after. So I've tried both. I like both. Honestly, if it's on a flat spot, I like the second skin because you don't really have to do anything with it. I mean, you should take it off after the first 24 hours, wash it, get all the hemoglobin and crap and ink off, and then you can put it on for another 24 hours. But my problem with second skin is I'm fat and I sweat, and when I sweat, it doesn't want to stick. It wants to slide all over the place. So I'm thinking, man, all right, cool, man, I got it on my elbow. It's awesome, dude, and then I wake up and I got stuff all over my sheets because it slid off and the edge came out and all the stuff that's supposed to be held in there and that pocket of stuff leaks out. So they do work good. They just don't work for everybody.
So, from my understanding in Japan, like going to the public bath, right? Like the heated public pools, that for years the heavily tattooed, bodysuited guys in Japan, they said that was the first thing you did after you got tattooed, because you went and you sat in like a steaming hot bath. That was, I mean, I've never talked to like a Japanese tattooer to verify that in person, but I've read that in several different places.
Yeah, so I did hear that, and that is part of, so when I was told way back in the day about, how to take care of my tattoos, this old guy said to me, if you could fill up your sink clean, obviously, you don't want schmegma from brushing your teeth and all that shit in there, clean sink.
I was thinking you meant kitchen sink, like food.
Or a pot. of hot water, as hot as you can get a clean pot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you take two, like washcloths, and you take one and you wring it out and you do like a hot compress on your tattoo. And as soon as it starts to cool off, you throw it in, get the next one out, wring it out, and you keep doing that for 5 minutes or so, and you keep alternating back and forth. Alternating, not alternating. I don't know, I'm not hick all of a sudden. But then if you do that, so what happens is it's the same thing as the Japanese, right? No, what it does is it allows the ink to seep into your skin because it's opening up your pores from that hot compress. And I honestly think that that's why my color is still, till this day, pretty freaking phenomenal. Because I do that every time I get tattooed. But Old Red Eyes just said, I remember back when we all used to use lipstick red. Now I do not. It's crazy the things I've seen change in just my 13 years of tattooing. Just said, we not can bathe there. No hot baths. They even have signs, so they're not even in Spain. They're not allowed to go into the hot baths.
When they're freshly tattooed?
I guess.
Or when they're tattooed in general?
Is that tattooed in general, or is that just when they're a fresh tattoo?
I mean, I know that in Japan there are baths that won't let you go in if you're tattooed.
What kind of shit is that, dude?
I think they're criminals.
Wow.
They think you're Yakuza.
Yeah, well, I guess. I mean, that was Eric Perfect was telling me about that. That was the reason why that the original tattoos, there's that gap in the middle of the
river
for the kimono.
It's called the river, yeah.
Wow. Oh, he's saying in Japan. Oh, shit. So, Drag, you're in Japan? We thought you were from Spain. Are you Spanish in Spain? Because I could have... See, man, we're international, folks. International. They're probably going, look at these fucking jerk-off Americans.
Nice.
Hey, we own up to it. What can I say? I mean, call us what you will. We own up to it. But, you know what? I think it was a good show tonight. I want to thank everybody for stopping in. I know we started a couple minutes late, and I apologize. We were still trying to figure out technical shit. Honestly, it's not even technical shit anymore. It's the fact that my laptop sucks, and we're doing the best we can with it. So,
big shout out to Buck for doing all the technical stuff on the show. Like literally, while he's doing that, I'm just sitting here playing on my phone, looking at kittens, and dog videos.
Yeah, well, so Old Red Eyes just said I'm gonna have to try the hot towel deal on my next tattoo. Sounds solid. I got to try it out. I'm telling you. Look, I don't know how well you can see them, man, but my color on my tattoos is ridiculous, and it's because I do my hot towel thing. I wish I could remember the old guy that told me the trick, and I don't remember, but I've been doing it ever since, and for whatever reason, man, my color seems to hold really well from doing it, and I highly suggest it. So I wouldn't steer you wrong. All right. No, we're in Spain now, but next year in Japan with Monclothes. Right on, dude. I thank you, Jack, for stopping by, man. I know you did before, and I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
There is, speaking of Japan real quick, there's a tattooer in Japan named Shiji who does traditional... He does what?
Old Red Eye said, I could see your car and I'm watching on my tiny phone.
Nice. Shiji does traditional Japanese subject matter in a photorealistic manner. It's incredible. I think he's at a place called Yellow Blaze, but I'm not 100% sure.
Right on. Cool, man. So thank you all for stopping out tonight and spending your hour with us and shooting the shit, having a good time, talking tattoos. We appreciate it. Thank you to all my subscribers. Definitely appreciate it. Can't do this without you as a subscriber. So without you watching, even if you're not a subscriber, thank you for watching. We can't do it without you.
We can't do it without you.
No, because if it's not for you guys, then it's just two assholes sitting here talking into a camera. So, we need people to watch. So spread the word if you liked it. Tell your friends. Next week, next Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern time. Join us every Sunday.
Right.
Thanks. Have a good night.
Have a good night, fellas.